Yes, going live. 3, 2. Welcome back. We're good. It is 5:49 p.m. here in the Beijing of China, and it's time to study some Russian, as it is Wednesday now. Typically, I do my Russians on Tuesday, but yesterday, September 17th, 2024, marked the 10th anniversary that I was in China. That I landed in China around 5 p.m. Beijing time, and the reason I mentioned like the specific times and the dates is because the pictures that I had, which I went through yesterday, and I think most people found kind of boring, but for me it was a trip down memory lane, and all the pictures had the timestamps, and it was kind of confusing to go through the timestamps because they were according to Eastern Standard Time, Toronto time, rather than Beijing time, because my phone hadn't changed over just yet. So I arrived sometime 4:30 or 5 p.m. in the evening, and so I was doing a live stream yesterday around the same time. It's been exactly 10 years that I've been in China, and over that time, I'll refer you to that, and I'll also probably cover the subject a little bit more on Saturday's podcast or this weekend's podcast. So we also have a podcast that complements this channel. And the idea being that we sort of review some of the things that we've published throughout the week and some of the upcoming items that we're looking to do with the channel. So I will talk a little bit more about the sort of what I've learned, what I've gathered, what maybe a little bit of what I've done over the last 10 years in China. It's certainly been, I would almost say that the country has been one of the places that I've grown up the most in the sense that like real life stuff. Like before that, I was traveling quite a bit, living in my own little bubble. Then living here in China sort of enabled me to settle down for a little bit. And I use that term very flexibly because as much as I don't think China is final destination, I've been here for 10 years and I have no plans to move just yet. So maybe sometimes when what was it? When man makes plan, when humans make plans, God laughs. That's kind of the idea is that I don't have any plans to leave China, but life might go well. Now you should have a plan for your departure of China, but we're not going to focus on that today. We are going to focus instead on picking up some Russian. And today, mute my microphone 1 second. There we go. Hope that didn't come through too much. But today I thought for learning Russian is actually a very quick, thing I want to talk about. So, of all things, let's get that share screen, entire screen over there with Google up and ready to go just in case we need that now on the one thing in terms of China. There is one hide this. I don't want to get rid of that. I want to get rid of that. So this is the channel, the analytics and stuff like that you probably don't see very much of. There is one video I sort of have there that I don't really, that isn't being shown at the moment. But I thought this number was interesting, 666. And the reason why it's interesting because in the West, 666 is the number of the beast as it's portrayed in the, I guess in the Bible. Don't ask me where, but 666 is like, or was that made popular by modern heavy metal? Anyway, 666, number of the beast. But here in China, liu 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 is very good luck. So I thought that was kind of neat. The number 18 as well. Now in Korean, shipal is a swear word. And we have 45 likes. So is sounds like death, and 5. No one cares about the number 5, but 100% likes. Look at that. Only one person disliked my Chinese check from July 12th. Who knows why? There's a bunch of reasons, I guess. But so that's the current standing of the likes and whatnot. And here are some of the other shirts that we have. On last Friday, we actually published another video. This one didn't work. Yeah, you see, I uploaded it twice because this version actually was botched, and don't know why. I guess when we were using Descript to edit that one, and when we transferred it over, YouTube or Descript didn't like the subtitles that we had chosen for that video, and so it was all botched. And that's why, if you watched it when it was first released, you're like, "WTF, Steve? Is this the new language you're learning?" And it's like, no, that's just a no good video. And then the live videos that I've been doing quite a few of over the last couple of weeks or months. Yeah, there's some test videos in there as well. I started making title cards for these because I just think it looks nice, a little better rather than having like a random screenshot of whatever it is. So that's yesterday's. 10 people have seen it. One person has liked it. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's awesome. But this is something I'm going to continue doing for the next little while. And also the community posts where I, for these community posts, I kind of am thinking that it's more like I'd rather have it similar to Instagram, I guess you could say. So instead of having another, like I do have an Instagram account for this account, but it really just ports over the YouTube Shorts, and I don't like it. The YouTube Shorts do not work on Instagram, nor do they work on TikTok. Those are two different beasts, and they'd have to be re-edited in such a way that I'm not sure actually how to even get that done, to tell you the truth. Oh, 1 second. And as a result, the Instagram account is basically just all the YouTube Shorts that get published over time. I would like to change that up. I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to change that up just yet. But you know what? At some point, I think I'm going to have to do an introduction to the channel and all the different accounts and the things that we do here. Because I think as the channel has grown, it's hard to sort of keep. I guess it'd be easier if I had a website. I could, and I kind of resisted building a website just because I'm like, I really don't want to deal with this. And I guess kind of want to focus with YouTube, and I don't really want to pay for a website and hosting and all this stuff. I don't really even want to look. I was using Bluehost for a couple websites for years, and they've kind of gone downhill over the last 2 years. I would say they've just gotten terrible. So I got to find a new web hosting platform, because people will say Squarespace, but I think Squarespace is sort of the most popular one because it has the most funding right now. It's a publicly traded company. Is Bluehost publicly traded? They were bought out by a publicly traded company, I think. So that might have something to do with it. Not entirely sure. Playlists, there's a few there. Podcast. So we do have playlists. I guess 504 shorts. Yeah, that's because I was posting a short every single Monday to Friday for about 4 or 5 months. All like most of them were original. There were no repeats. It wasn't until later on in the year when we started doing more. There's no promotions, are there? No, not yet. Not until later on in the year when we started doing long form video content that we started repurposing a lot of the shorts or the content into shorts that would then be played through the YouTube Shorts algo or whatever. It is playlists, podcasts. So podcasts, we do have a podcast that we just started a couple of weeks ago, end of August or so. Have not yet finished the sign up page for the podcast. So if you sign up for the newsletter, which you can find over, can I get over here? We'll pop tab. And I hope that intro video doesn't play. I don't like this. Oh, I'm live. Look at that. That's what it's doing. Oh, it's awesome. Hi there. Hi. That's so cool. My old videos. My buddy Denny. The About page here contains a lot of the links that you can find. Buy Me a Coffee is what I sort of was using as a sort of stand-in website for the time being. SendFox is my newsletter provider right now. TikTok, the Language Talker. We were posting there. That is sort of like a meme account. I'm not going to lie. I post a lot of one-off thinks and thoughts about learning languages and stuff like that. 596 subscribers. Come on, we can do more. I watched that number just to see how we're doing, sort of thing. My first goal was actually to get 500 subscribers, and we did that about a month ago or so. After the looking at Beijing drain holes, that video brought in quite a few subscribers. We're coming up to 600. My goal is 1,000 by my next target is 1,000, but then after that, I actually want to grow up to just 10,000. I think that'd be a good number. I'd be like, at that point, I'd be like, that's a good number. I feel satisfied with 10,000 subscribers. I've never had an account that's had that many subscribers before. But subscriber count aside, this account, and I think what sort of differentiates my account here with other YouTube channels that you might see is that it's a bit more of an active community. So I do respond to quite a few of the comments that people post. And since I have a podcast and I do long form, these live streams where we do live chats as well, I do respond to quite a bit of it. So in that regard, the subscriber numbers don't reflect entirely what the channel is doing. And the channel, in my mind, again, as I've mentioned in other places, that it is sort of a way to keep me honest in my own language learning, specifically Mandarin Chinese right now, but then also so that you, the viewer, people stumbling across this channel can learn from the mistakes that I've had over the years in learning different languages. So, and it also gives a little bit of a sneak peek about what it's like to live in China, in a country like China, to travel around the world, basically, because I do give clips of different travel. Like we've been to Korea. I haven't posted any. I did post from Singapore. Did I post from Guangzhou? I can't remember. Maybe not. I should have. I don't know why I didn't. Because I was on a bit of on a break, and because it was getting to be a lot of work on my own. So finally, I brought in a video editor who's been fantastic. She has helped me immensely. So kudos to my video editor who does a lot of the YouTube Shorts editing. So all those fancy titles and the graphics that come in, that's all her. It's not me. I don't spend that much time on my shorts. The YouTube short that was just published, the one that you can usually tell which ones I've done and which ones she's done, the Mooncake Festival. So that was done by me. Did you notice the voiceover that I had to do? Because I read the characters wrong. I'm like, I got a reason. I should have looked it up before I said it, and I didn't. And as a result, I had to do a punch in, as they call it, a voiceover to correct the Chinese that I spoke in that video. But all that being said, she's been immensely helpful in getting everything done and producing a lot of these videos. So kudos to my who has made my life infinitely easier and better, and just overall, I think, has improved the quality of the content that this channel is publishing. Righto, there you go. One more look at the About page, buymeacoffee.com/Stevens Language Vlog is where you'll find sort of a stand-in website for now. I will be adding to it later on some more resources that I think are good for language learners. SendFox.com/Stevens Language Vlog is the current newsletter sign up. That's probably going to change over time, but right now we'll stick with it. And then TikTok over there, the Language Talker, which I was very active over the summer. Now I'm sort of backed off a little bit, but we will get that up and going again as well. So there you go. There is the whole smorgasbord. And of course, I got to add the podcast soon. If you join the newsletter, you'll have access to the MP3 files that it has music, intro music, and everything. Funny little intro. Dajahao. Здравствуйте. Steven, you should practice your pronunciation in Russian. Yes, I should. And Ukrainian. Здравствуйте. And you can get access to the MP3 files through the newsletter, which, again, that's actually why I've just this past weekend signed up for a Libsyn account, which is going to be the podcast host. And that way I can distribute the podcast to Spotify, Apple, and all the other places. That makes it just a lot easier. And it will also enable me to develop another micro website, which will enable then sort of different, what would you call it? Different parts of resources and everything for people to take a look at. Hang on, so there's another look at it. Is China safe? There you go. So already have 4 more views. Awesome. I think that's a sleeper hit, to tell you the truth. I think this is something that this video is going to eventually have a couple thousand views as people as that video sits there. I can foresee that video taking off later on. at some point. I don't know when. Honestly, I'm kind of watching it just to see what happens. And if you're wondering why I chose to put the little panda ears on my head there, it's because I am sort of poking fun at the idea that China is perceived to be a very sort of unsafe country. Like, why would anyone live in China? And I give a look at why someone would live in China. But I understand people's contention. I understand people's sort of reticence and hesitation to come here. It's not a country for everybody. The culture is very different, although not entirely different. I mean, people are people. They still work, they live, they love, they hate, they do all these. They drink, they don't drink, they try to eat healthy. Their versions of what healthy food are different. I mean, based on their own cuisine, sort of thing. And the language is by no means easily accessible, and that usually puts a divide between people because there's only so much you can sort of get into the culture and the country without the language, and you can stay on that side. You can live for a very long time on that side of the fence of not knowing the language. But once you know the language, or start, especially, it takes a long time to learn the language. But when you start learning the language and you understand a bit more of the language, then it open up other things for you. You start to understand things a little bit more in the country and how the people do things, why the people do things, and all of that being said, like that's in terms of Mandarin Chinese. The other countries that I've lived in, Korea, for example, Ukraine, even Australia. If I had stayed there for much longer, what would I have learned about those places, about the languages, about the cultures, and the way of living in those different parts of the world? Ukraine, wow, to be on, had I still, if I was still living in Ukraine, no idea. I have no idea what would have happened to me. I was living in Kharkov, of all places, and it was that city's been a couple of years. Not really somewhere you want to be living. Uh, that's okay. I'm fine with that. Korea, I probably should have stayed a couple more years, at least another year, and given a good go at learning the language as well. All right. So, with all the advertising done and fun out of the way, and then bring over the one that I want to look at today. So, since I'm looking to study Russian today, I actually wanted to take a look at, like I mentioned, is Yaroslava Russian. So she only has 11,000 subscribers, and he has 96.4 thousand. Now, part of the reason for that is because this guy actually appeared with Steve Kaufman, or he was on Steve Kaufman's podcast 4 years ago, and that I think opened him up to a very different, a whole new clientele, I guess you could say. Whereas Yaroslava Russian, she has basically done things on her own, and that's which is good. She's good. I like her. She does very good work, and I'll actually show you. So for her about page, Ms. Здесь говорим по-русски. My name is Yaroslava, Russian teacher on this channel. Help foreigners learn Russian, understand Russia, and immerse with the Russian language and culture. She has Instagram lessons. Oh, what is this? I've never seen that before. We'll open that up. But she has a Buy Me a Coffee site and an Instagram channel as well. Only 68 videos? Something doesn't seem right. She should have more videos than that. That's 4 years. So she's not putting out a video every week. Okay, maybe that's why. Yaroslava Russian, привет. Develop confidence, fluency. How much for your private lessons? Let's see how much these are. I want to travel to Russia. I did travel. I took the train from Beijing to Moscow. That trip was interrupted. Made with Popsy. What is Popsy? I want to see this. Idealna. Sol Foundation. Ideal. Show it. lessons are food for thought. Most controversial and interesting topics. Nah. My first home philosophies of people is what the maybe this is what this one's about. Meeting €6 to Canada dollar. So €200 to, what is it? 1,500. What about Chinese offshore? What is that? Oh, a little bit. So it's cheaper with the onshore. I didn't even know that existed. All right. Thanks. Bye. Or €50. I should have kept that open. How much is €50? Times by 1.5, I guess, to get the Canadian dollar. So 200 is, so it's about 500 renminbi per €100, right? No. Stephen. 1,500, €200, it's 750. Oh, bloody hell. Anyway, so 50. 200 is $300 Canadian. Divide that by 2 is 150. Divide that by 2, you get $75 Canadian for 60 minutes packages. There you go. That's how you do math, right? Payment via Stripe. PayPal. Rather have looking right at the camera there. When you speak in right, just like me in English, you have no idea how we act with time in Russian. It's spelled wrong. Russian has 2 S's. Or not sure if you understand text. Probably, yeah. Sure. More free and fluent. Well, then you'd be able to teach with like a YouTuber, right? You teach with someone famous. Georgian ancient language, Latin, Greek, Slavic, and English. Interesting. That's a lot of languages. And probably also the reason why she doesn't have very many videos, because she's like she's busy studying everything else. Specialist pedagogy, Utmart State University, Izhevsk. Master's degree, so she's a specialist in pedagogy and Russian. So that's her like BA, master's degree in methodology, Higher School of Economics, Moskva, certificate skill box. Really? Okay, interesting. Dom Uchitlia, Izhevsk. I'm guessing she's from Izhevsk. Huh, interesting. And testimonies from around the world, private lessons, deep dive workshops. These are actually kind of neat. I think these are the ones that she has on her Buy Me a Coffee. 129 support. I thought she had more than that. $15 per month to become a member. I thought there were more than that. 6 years of experience. There, Izhevsk. Lived in Moscow. Left Russia to wander around the world. 2021. She actually has a video about that. Georgia, Turkey. Yeah, so now she's in Argentina, I think. All right, interesting. Wow. Okay, I don't. So she does these things. Actually, the shop here. This is actually one of the inspirations that I have for building up my own Buy Me a Coffee. She gave me the idea. Basically, is that there you go. That's 1,000 sales so far. I was thinking of doing the same sort of thing where we would have different packages available. Russian in 7 days. Notion. What is this? What's I thought? How would I learn from zero if I had only a week? You know what? I should create something like that for English. That would be funny. I think that'd be great. English in 7 days. How to bolster your English vocabulary in 31 hours. Why 31? Because that's all you're going to spend with this package. Well, if you can do it in 31, why don't you do it in 3? How to learn 1,000 words in 3 hours. but would the words be worth anything? That would be my question. Webinar. Yeah, so interesting. I haven't bought anything from her, so I don't know if it's good, bad. Her YouTube videos are pretty good, so I can tell you that much. It is decent. I'm guessing this is supposed to be Russian here. LRWN. No, it's not. It's a code. Well, maybe it is. Don't know. Смотрим вместе Мастера и Маргариту. That's the book, Master Margarita. That was a good book. I like that one. Podcast и с Ильёли. Первый год отчества. Я не знаю. Смотрим вместе Мастера и Маргариту. 2 of 3. So what is this? Members only. It's a free one. No. So she's doing some sort of literature analysis. Interesting. I was thinking about doing something like this as well. But Master Margarita, Russian literature. Can I do it Canadian literature? Classic Canadian literature? Is there a Canadian classic? No idea. I don't think so. No, there might be. Good question. So that's Russian with Max, right? Interesting. Okay. Well, Yaroslava, пожалуйста, спасибо вам. И следующие встречи. Membership is $15 per month. 22 members. Interesting. Posts. We've already been through that. The shop. We've been through that. Wish list. What is this? Show it. Любые курсы pop art. Nope. Подписка на синхронизацию. Что это? Fund this wish. Wouldn't it be fun just to be like, all right, here's the $200, go for it. Tell me what it is. I have no idea. Сами по культуре, истории, философии и так далее. Полезно, чтобы я могла готовить более интересные видео. So she's building a website here. Platform as развитие. Разные. No idea. Well, if I had to do that, I have no idea. Я не знаю. Ярослава Кашнатова. Пожалуйста, спасибо. И все. So many others. So she does these deep sort of dives into workshop. Interesting. I was thinking about doing this. So just recently I was posting about reading the English classics. And this is sort of the idea that I had in mind, was creating sort of workshops based on this. The only issue is that I have to do it on something that I'd be interested in it as well, because if I did it on something that I didn't really care about, then I think it'd be boring. I think it'd be terrible for everybody involved in private lessons. You know what? Maybe at some point, but I'll have to ask her if she goes with PayPal as well. This looked like an interesting video that she had. CMP, okay. PDF file. Yeah, still sounds funny. A PDF file. But when you transliterate it into Russian, it sounds a little different. Download the extra material. So she actually offers extras to this class. It's kind of neat. Что ты найдешь в PDF файл? Словарь с примерами и объяснением, мем, чтобы запомнить все новые слова, скриншот из мира. Потом, когда у меня будут выходить новые видео, я буду присылать короткое письма с ссылкой на видео и PDF. И раз в месяц буду приглашать на мой мероприятия. Что-то. Удобно, правда? До скорой встречи в новых видео и письмах. Ярослава. Хорошо. She builds with ConvertKit. This is something that's popped up in my own investigations of what I should be using to promote and to help bolster the channel. Webinar. Old pagan beliefs in Christianity and modern conversational Russian life. This would actually be a very interesting package to get. $30, only $20 for members. How much does membership cost? $10. You buy a membership for $10. You could buy this for 20. So the cheaper would just be to buy. I'm joking. I have no idea. But that's a lot of companies do that, and it's silly. But I'm not sure exactly how much membership. I think she said it's $15 per month. So if you order a monthly membership, you can buy this for $20, but then you're paying $15 every month for, I guess, that discount. 1 hour long Zoom meeting, including mini lectures, interactive practice sessions, and a Q&A at the end. Interesting. Spiritual beliefs, right? So she's basically teaching this. That's kind of neat. Huh. Interesting. She's an inspirational teacher, to tell you the truth. What's this? Stat. Ставить лайк. Ставьте. All right, so on it goes. No, I won't watch the whole thing. This is again Yaroslava Russian. She's very good. I watch a lot of her stuff, and same with another one, Russian with Max. I watch a lot of his stuff as well to practice my Russian each and every day, at least most times. All right, lessons. So she has. Начинаем читать статью. Кто и когда организовал конференцию «Золотые мозги в Москве». Участники конференции направления исследований. Первый пункт – история про это и то. Читаем от начала до конца. Второй пункт, третий пункт, third point, second point, third, fourth point, четвертый пункт, пятый пункт и так далее. Спасибо. Интересный. Очень интересный. Can I close out my videos so you can't see the videos I've watched before? Oh, they're just okay. That didn't work. Oh, YouTubes. Oh, YouTubesies. What you doing? Yeah, it's kind of glitchy, kind of slow today, isn't it? Yes. Большим вам спасибо за этот полезный контент. Да. She didn't do first comment. I thought you're supposed to do that these days. You're supposed to automatically put your first comment in for some reason. I don't know why that's even a thing these days, but that apparently that's huge. Спасибо за видео. Я читаю научную литературу для детей, чтобы изучать русский. Слова повторяются очень часто, что делает это хороший способ запоминать новые слова. She doesn't respond to a lot of these comments, questions, and concerns. Maybe she hasn't had time just yet. Interesting. And so we've looked at that. Close out of that. Webinar. Close out of that. And Yaroslava. Right. Close that out. Videos. So how often does she post videos? Let's see. 1 month, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 days. Once a week. She's been more consistent recently. I'm guessing because she had to flee the country a couple of years ago. 9 months, 9 months, 8 months, 8 months, 7 months, 6 months. So yeah, there was a couple months where she wasn't posting as much. That's actually a good conversation. Meet Justin, who speaks very fluent. Is he Mongolian? I can't remember. No, I can't remember where he's from. Did watch it one time. Stop learning Russian to finally use it. Как перестать учить по-русски? Учить русский и, наконец, вивчать его. Stop learning. Basically, it means get off the learning from grammar tables and stuff like that and just start speaking. The issue is that I've spoke about this on the channel before, that it's all well and good to say that you should speak from day one, but what do you talk about if you don't have the vocabulary? I say start with your vocabulary, start speaking that vocabulary, read it out loud, write it out several times, lots of times, and then that way you learn from multiple skills, language skills to absorb that language or that word over time. Around and learn some Russian. I might start doing videos like that as well. Grammar versus what? Versus immersion. Let's see what that one is. Podcast versus textbooks, because I now have a podcast. So Mhm. I'm guessing she made a mistake with her explanation, and so had to redo. I know this, and that's a good effect. The bad TV effect in Final Cut Pro. I'm guessing it's Final Cut Pro. It's not iMovie, and that's how you fix it. It's also changed. If you can hear, the audio has changed as well. So she's now just recording into her phone, not the microphone that she was using for the video. At least that's what I'm guessing, because that's the easiest way to do it. I think she has an iPhone, and if you're using Final Cut, then you're probably you have a MacBook, and if you have a MacBook, chances are you're not using an Android, but you might be. And AirDrop is a lot faster. So recording iPhone audio and then airdropping that over to your computer much faster than using Android and trying to Bluetooth or find that cable. So this is one thing that when people ask me why I study Russian and why I say it's easier than Chinese, you look at some of these words: podcastov, podcast, очень много блогеров, blogs, которые учат этому языку, which study this language. Для изучающих for foreigners, podcast for foreigners, for studying, sorry, podcast for studying. A lot, очень много блогеров, so очень много, a lot of, very many blogs. And then the next one, комфортно, comforting, окружить. Я не знаю, в русском языке и сожалению. Очень много людей, people делают content. This content для изучающих. So that's for study, but content, English, комфортно, English, podcast, blogolev, and you probably have to know Russian to know который учат этому языку. So when I say that Russian is easier than Chinese, that's what I'm referring to. That the cognates, the words that sort of transfer and are borrowed between languages, a lot more are done, and it's easier to transliterate other other European languages into Russian. Contrast that with Chinese, where Chinese, even saying a city name, Paris, in Russian is easier than in Chinese, which is Bali. which sounds exactly like Bali Island, Bali Dao, which is Bali Island, but Bali Changshe is in France. A lot people might even criticize your tones. Oh, you got the tone wrong on when you're saying and going, well, is it the tone or is it or is it the fact that you use the same sounding words or same sounding phonemes to describe two very different places separated around the world? So when I say that Russian is easier in general compared to Chinese, it's that ability to learn from the cognates, the Russian words that have been or so the foreign words that have been translated into Russian. Subtitles, Nabokov, Nabokov, reading, coding, speaking, writing. There, interesting. Well, yeah. So she does. She has quite a few other Russian language in times of war. That'd be interesting to take a look at to listen to. But I mean, I think we sort of know. I've talked about a little bit about it before. I was going to do a video on the politics of does politics matter when we're choosing a language to learn. Especially, it was inspired by me restarting my Russian language studies again. And it came down to Russian as a language that's used by people who live outside of the country known as Russia. So it's a language group unto its own, or sorry, it's a language unto its own. It does involve, I guess, a group of languages in that the national language of the Russian Federation, which is spoken across what we see as Russia today. But just because someone in speaks Russian who lives in Mongolia or Kyrgyzstan or Kazakhstan or even Turkey or Argentina doesn't mean that they like how the country that the language takes its name from is dealing with other issues, right? And the same could be said about English. England, United States, Canada, you can make the argument for, although Canada's never been really an imperial power. So things like that. That Russian is a language that a lot of people speak, and so that was one of the reasons why I started studying it again. Again, it actually helps me sort of take a break from Chinese. And you might actually wonder, like, well, if it's taking a break, why don't you like just take a break and not see if I can get a better, oh, whatever, doesn't really matter. Like, why don't you just not study instead of studying, like instead of picking up another language? It didn't work. So if I needed a break from Chinese, then the break couldn't be anything else other than another language, because in learning another language as a break from learning Chinese, I'm still learning the techniques of language learning and what's important, and only that, making those connections between the different languages. Not that there's huge amounts of connections between Russian and Chinese, but the connections between this method works, that method works, this method does not work. Uh, I'm falling behind on this skill set, this study method, or this amount of time being spent on this skill works for this language, but not for this language, and so on and so on. So it's one of those things where I kind of, oh, there she go, first comment there. Russian is kind of like, well, it's just a break. That's all. I do it as a secondary language. It's not a main focus. What would make it a main focus for me? I guess if I got really good at Chinese, then I might dedicate more time to Russian. But even still, like I did try to pick up a bit of Ukrainian again last year, and I found it very difficult, only because my Russian it is better than my Ukrainian, even though I studied Ukrainian when I was a kid. And to keep those languages separate was difficult. It was tough, and I didn't want to be, especially with the plan to go to Ukraine, I didn't want to be making the mistake of speaking Russian in a place that was very proudly Ukrainian and not entirely happy with their country, their neighboring country blowing up part of their country. So I stopped. I'm not studying Ukrainian at the moment. I'm continuing on with Russian for now. That could change going forward. What would make Russian a major or a main focus for me? I don't see anything in the future that can sort of make that happen. I don't plan on living in Russia, Mongolia, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan ever. Really, there's no plans to do that. Uh, Possibly would go back to visit Ukraine at some point. But for there, I'd rather be speaking Ukrainian than Russian. For Chinese, it remains sort of the main focus of my language studies. All right, so did not get done through this channel, but we can do that another time, no problem. I'm glad we took a look at her channel, because that sort of helped. I've seen it before. I've seen some of it before. I think I will email her about private lessons, just because it'd be interesting to see and hear her sort of methodology for teaching and whatnot, especially if she's learned all these other languages that she says she's learned. I mean, that's a crazy amount. I can't remember which page it was. So yeah, and these two projects that she's currently working on. Subscribe. There you go. Again, much easier in Russian than in Chinese. Chinese, I've forgotten already. 我忘记那个词汇是 subscribe. Thumbs up. I'll have to look through my notes. I found it once before. We will go through Russian with Max another time, because I am coming up to an hour-long stream so far. And this is a different one that I'd sort of want to be spending some time on, looking at different methods that he uses to to teach Russian, to communicate with Russian, and I think it'd be a little bit more, give it a little bit more justice, the same way that we took a look at Yaroslava Russian's classes today. Okay, well, I think we will leave it there. Does she have a website? Podcast. Let's just see. Where is it? Does she have a website? I think she does. Yes? We were just on that website. Yes, we were. No, let's buy me a coffee. Russian? Yeah. Okay, that's her website. Right out. There we are. Russian. Yes. That's it. Oh, 3 links. That's such a, I would say that's an easy website to make. There you go. Telegram channel, YouTube, buy me a coffee, email. Oh, I bet here it is. Well, because here, Kashtanova at Yandex.ru. All right. Interesting enough. Good. Well, I'm glad we took a look at that. I hope you guys got something from that as well. If you're studying Russian or looking to study other languages, I find it helpful to take a look at what other teachers are doing, other YouTubers as well, what types of videos they're making that are popular, that are gaining a lot of views, a lot of likes, and what sort of comments are also being made on these videos. So that's pretty good. Yeah, in terms of my own Russian, I guess I could have done a little bit more. We did some listening practice today, right? Yeah, I'll email her and see. I don't know what. Why would I email her? You either want the lessons or you don't want the lessons, right? and if she doesn't take PayPal, then how can I pay for the lessons because I don't have Stripe? And you might well, you could use a credit card. Could do that. I was really kind of hoping if she could take Alipay, that would be awesome. Alipay or Union Pay, PayPal, that would be fine. But don't really want to be using credit cards. Just my preference is to keep it cash based. This is what living in China has done to me only recently, to tell you the truth. So, all right, we will leave it there. Again, folks, thank you very much. And of course, with my own website, there is I don't have my own website just yet. Here is the YouTube channel as it stands with all of its good stuff going on. Over in the more section here, you'll see the signups, the buy me a coffee. I can copy paste that into the chat just so you guys can have a look at that one. Oh, does it do it? No. Oh my goodness, it does not do that very easily. Can I do this? Buy me a coffee. It's not going to work. All right. Well, that's too bad. How about this one? Send Fox for the newsletter. I think you guys should sign up for that. Once a week, I send that out for people to have a listen to, a read through. And of all things, with that newsletter, I also upload the MP3 files for the podcast, which will be very soon, very shortly, broadcast Spotify, Apple, and all the other places that you can find podcasts these days, in an effort to sort of, it's part of an effort to make it easier for people to remind themselves to study a language. That's pretty much why I created the podcast, is so that, because I know a lot of people like to watch the YouTube videos, but then what happens is that you watch the YouTube video and you get sucked down the rabbit hole of watching YouTube videos when you should be studying your language. Instead, my idea is that if I create a podcast for your commute to and from work or school or whatever it is, then if you can't study your language during that time, you can use the podcast as the motivation to, once you get to whatever your location is, to either work or home, and just hit the books, study your language. Yes, this Steve guy, he's still going on about learning languages and studying languages. I should too. I've listened to my podcast allocation for the day. English, check, done. Now on to the next language: Mandarin, Chinese, Russian, Ukrainian, whatever it is that you're watching, you're learning. All right, folks. Thank you very much for tuning in today. I appreciate it. And if you're watching the replay, all the links are in the live chat for you. And again, you can follow me on all of these platforms as it stands right now. Thanks again. And we will do this again. Have a good one. End stream. Пока-пока. Зайден, сатиден. Следующего встречи. Пока. Bye-bye.